Welcome, Wolverine parents. It is great to see that we have parents vested in their children's academic success that will be partnering with us to help them across the finish line. My name is Danielle Faircloth. I am one of the 11th, 12th grade school counselors. Joining me is Miss Rose Jean.
Good afternoon, Wolverine parents. My name is Miss Jean. I am the college and career counselor. It's good to have you here. And now I will allow Mr. Saperstein to say hello.
Hello, I'm Mr. Saperstein. I'm also one of the 11th and 12th grade counselors, alphabet last name A through D. And I have the privilege of welcoming my esteemed colleague, Miss Terry Roberto.
Hi, I'm Terry Roberto. I'm also an 11th, 12th grade counselor. I have R through Z for 11th grade and S through Z for 12th.
Okay, go to the next slide, Coach H. Okay, so the purpose of this presentation is to educate you about the course selection process. And there are three major goals with course selection. The first piece of it is teacher course placement. The teachers place the students in their core classes, and they do this according to their skill level. Sorry about that. We would like to ask for all questions to be held to the very end, and we will answer them at that time. The next part of the process is student elective choices. The students this year will get to elect choose their electives through SIS. They will be able to do this for only the courses that do not require a prerequisite or teacher recommendation. And the very last part is so that we prepare students for college and or vocational school and beyond. We want to make sure that the courses they are choosing will prepare them for their future plans. Okay, so the end game is to graduate. So in order to know what we need for graduation, we're going to just briefly go over the graduation requirements. They need 24 credits in various subjects. 4 credits in English, 4 credits in math. They need 1 credit in geometry, 1 credit in algebra. They need 3 credits in science that include a physical science credit and a biology credit. 3 credits in social studies, that would be world history, US history, a half a credit in American government, and a half a credit in economics. 1 performing arts credit, physical education credit, and 8 electives. That is anything that does not include the coursework above. There are also additional requirements, a 2.0 GPA, a level 3 or higher on the FSA ELA, level 3 or higher on the Algebra 1 EOC, 1 online course requirement, and 20 hours of community service. Regarding the online course requirement, 1 course is mandatory for graduation. That's 1 course. That's not 1 full credit. As long as it's a full course like driver's ed, peer counseling, social media, that will satisfy that requirement. You can take your online courses through FLVS or Palm Beach Virtual. All courses that are offered at Wellington should be taken on campus, not online. And the online courses have to be taken in addition to the 7 classes that you take. You cannot have an online course on your schedule. If you are getting your ACE diploma, that online course requirement is waived. So speaking about the ACE diploma, it is part of our culture here at Wellington. ACE stands for Advanced International Certificate of Education. You need a total of 7 classes. 4 are required. That's 1 in group 1, 2, and 3. And you are also required to take ACE Global Perspectives AS. And that would be your 7 points. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so these are the ACE courses that we have here at Wellington. If you do get your ACE diploma, you do get Bright Futures. You will get the Florida Academic Scholar for Bright Futures, and it does waive the GPA requirement and the ACT SAT requirement.
Speaking of Bright Futures, here's kind of the requirement. So there's 2 levels to Bright Futures. There's the Florida Academic Scholar and the Medallion Scholar. They both require certain SAT and ACT scores, service hours, and the 4 English, 4 math, 3 science, 3 social studies. And one that, we kind of overlook sometimes is the 2 world languages. That's not a graduation requirement, but it is a requirement for Bright Futures. And then you can also use your ACE diploma to waive some of these requirements. That's passing all 7 exams instead of using your ACT, SAT score and the normal 4.431 credit hours. So if you're getting Bright Futures through ACE, it's a bit different, but you can get it either way. So that's a misconception too, that you have to get your ACE diploma to qualify for Bright Futures. You can do it the standard way. That's what this slide is showing. College track graduation requirements. So this is just going through kind of the things that Ms. Faircloth was talking about. If you're on the road to college, though, you want to kind of look a little bit more academic heavy. So even though there's 3 sciences required to graduate, you really want to have 4 years of science, 4 years of math, 4 years of academic electives. You still need your service hours, at least 100, because you're also trying to get that Bright Futures. And at least 2 years of a world language. Many schools are now asking for 3 or 4 years of a world language and a competitive, very high competitive GPA and test scores. When the students are selecting their courses, there's a couple things that they can use to figure out what exactly they need. So they can look at their academic history, and they can use our curriculum guide and the course selection sheet, which is going to be on the Google Classroom. So the next few slides are going to show how and where these are located. So the academic history, a student can look under their SIS and see their academic history. So this will show you all the courses that they've taken, all the grades that they've received. So you want to make sure that you're on track for your requirements. And then you can kind of go through the next step and see what the progression is for the current course selection in the subject area that you're looking at. So the 7-course equation is meaning that there's 7 courses that you need on your schedule. So the teacher places the core academic areas. So your English, math, science, and social studies. Teachers are helping students now select the best fit for their next year. And then the students are going to be able to go in and select their 3 electives. And those are also based on a variety of factors, right? Are you in a CTE program? Are you getting a certification? The better that you can show progression in all subject areas, from starting in 9th grade to the highest level as a senior, always looks the best. So the teachers are going to help you. The students will select electives, and then they'll meet with the counselors to finalize their course selection for next year. How to fill out the course selection sheet. There still is a hard copy of the course selection sheet that we'll have available in the 11th and 12th and 10th grade offices. And it's just another way to organize the classes. And it kind of tells you here step by step, place an X on your core classes, pick your alternates. And we ask them to pick a few extra alternates just in case the scheduling, when we schedule the master board, they might not get their first choice. So we ask them to get 3 extra elective choices. And then again, the counselors will help them at the end to pick the best fit for them. Language arts and math options. So here it's just showing you, depending on the track you're going, if you're going ACE, the ACE classes fall in a certain pathway. And then if you're going English regular, most students now are at least taking ACE English Lang or English general paper. And the math courses are following specific progression also. There's a few new math classes in our progression now, but we can also help you with that. But again, your math teacher and your language arts teacher, they're going to be selecting the courses with students. So, and then double checking with counselors to make sure that everybody's placed correctly. Science and social studies, very similar. Science courses require different by grade level. So we first want to make sure that everybody has their physical science requirement, whether it was taken in 8th grade or they need it to take chemistry or physics. We want to make sure all students have biology in 9th grade. And then from there, they just need 1 or 2 electives depending on the pathway they're looking for. Social studies, same thing. Usually it's world history in 10th grade or an ACE course that will also count for that. Same with science. There's also ACE courses for electives. And then they're going to do US history or an ACE history, and then government and economics their senior year. World languages, again, 2 years for bright futures. More years if you're looking at a rigorous college, and we like to see them back to back. Same language. 0 language is required for your basic high school diploma, but for colleges and bright futures, you really need to get those 2 to 3 years or more going on starting in 9th grade.
All right.
Here are our electives with Mr. Saperstein.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Roberto. And as Ms. Roberto was speaking about, it's really important for the teachers and the students to have a meeting about their 4 core classes. Now we're going to talk about the electives, which are going to make up the other 3 classes on their schedule. We have a wide variety of visual arts, band and chorus, technology, with some new courses that we're going to speak about soon, and dance and theater that don't need any prerequisites or signatures. Also, even though it's called an elective, it will still fulfill a graduation requirement. For instance, if you were taking 2D Art 1, that would count as your fine and practical art as well. Next slide. Oh, and some other prerequisites that do not need, or some need a signature, some don't. We have phys ed classes, social studies that you'll see. Language arts department has debate and journalism. One of the new classes that we're offering is social media production, which we'll talk more about later. And off-campus electives, considered executive internship. If you have a job, obviously outside of campus, and you're working between 5 and 10 hours a week. There's also another one called volunteer public service, where you would be volunteering at a not-for-profit organization for 75 hours for the semester, and or if you're doing a dual enrollment at Palm Beach State College and or at FAU. Some new classes, as we just discussed, that are being offered in Wellington High School. They range from math and science classes, you see, like gardening and agriculture. We have a new math foundations class, all the way over to our newest elective, which is called social media productions, which we're really excited about, and the kids are going to really enjoy that. All right, another opportunity for an elective, well, and or obviously earning a industry certification. As you can see here, you can take Creative Photoshop 1 and 2, and you can earn a graduation requirement from your fine and practical art, as well as making your way for an industry certification. There's also AutoCAD, there's Illustrator, there's also the Firefighting Academy, and there's a plethora of other certifications that they can take if they're in the business marketing program. So there's a lot of opportunities to earn an industry cert. Also, if you complete 3 or more of these CTE courses in the same category, you're going to be eligible for the Bright Futures Florida Gold Seal Vocational Scholarship. Okay, so off-campus privileges. These are not periods off per se, but they're off campus. As I mentioned before, with executive internship, voluntary public service, and dual enrollment. In order to be eligible for dual enrollment, there's a certain criteria that is right below, and also it's in the Google Classrooms, and you have to just basically follow the instructions and make sure you have the proper test scores, whether it be an SAT score, PERT score, or any other type of standardized test. If you have any other questions about that, obviously you can see your counselor so we can get you signed up for that. Taking dual enrollment classes is a great opportunity to boost up your HPA and also earn yourself some college credit. Okay, so now if you're a current freshman, you'd be a rising sophomore for next year, you're entitled to 1 off-campus privilege. You need to have a 2.25 GPA, 20 community service hours, FLVS online class done, and being what we call graduation ready, which is scoring a level 3 or higher in the FSA reading and algebra and or geometry tests. And obviously, if you want to dual enroll, you need a 3.0 and college ready scores. Now, moving on, if you're a rising senior, you can be entitled one junior privilege, which I'm not actually sure of, but you can have two periods off campus, and it'll be the same rules. And you also have to have a parent notary filled out for all of them. Rising seniors, you can have one senior privilege and two off campuses privileges. Same rules apply. Pretty much, if you satisfied it your sophomore and junior year, you're going to be fine your senior year. All right, so one period for senior privilege is available for obviously seniors only. You have to be on track to graduate. That's the most important thing. All right, you also, as a senior, should be thinking about taking the most rigorous course load that you can, taking just 4 courses and having, like 2 executive internship classes and/or a volunteer public service class just to get off campus is fine. It might look good, but it's going to look a lot better if you take as many classes as you can on campus.
Thank you, Mr. Saperstein. As we continue with the course request demonstration, I do want to mention there is no junior privilege. I know in the last slide it was mentioned. However, parents, please make a note there are no junior privilege. So at this time, we're going to transition into how to select and make the choices as selecting your electives. And per se, we're going to go through SIS. That way you can see what your student is currently seeing. Once your student logs into SIS, they will then notice that there is the class request on the left-hand side where they want to select that as an option. Then they will then proceed. You will notice the drop-down button will say 2022, 2023. Your student will select the correct one. And then they proceed to the overview of the course column by clicking the blue arrow below, and they will see the different selections available to the student. Once you go through that, this is a demonstration of the actual course electives that would be available to the student. The student must hit enter twice before actually adding the course into the course request profile. This is an example of how the course will look once the courses are successfully entered into SIS. Please make sure that the number 1 elective, the student must order that in the order of preference. Do not use the same number twice. So any order that the student would prefer to put the electives, they will utilize the elective priority on the far right, and they will put it in order to ensure they receive the elective that they prefer the most. Please keep in mind there are error message if the student has already taken the course. This is a demonstration of what the error message will look like. If a student has not taken the prerequisite, please ensure that the prerequisite is taken, as this can be an error as well. A few things for you to consider and remember during the course selection process. During the window of online requests, you can update or delete your elective choices. However, you cannot delete any requests entered by a teacher or administrator. And once the window closes, you will not be able to update or view the elective requests. A few dates to keep in mind for course selection timeline. Beginning February 22nd to March 11th, teachers will register students for the recommended courses. From February 22nd to March 25th, students will discuss the options and choices both with teachers and you as a parent. From March 25th to April 1st, students will begin to choose the electives on SIS. And from April 1st to April 19th, students will meet with their school counselor to finalize the selection and then proceed to turn in the course selection sheet. On April 20th, your student may breathe because they are completed with the process. Now, one of the things we want to transition over is to introduce to you the career database that we look to roll out within the next academic school year, SCORE. SCORE is a college admission network that connects students, families, and high schools on the college admission experience. SCORE also has an app on over here to my left. You're able to see what that app looks like for the student. Each student will be required to create a username and a password. This allows students to engage with colleges, careers. There will be career assessment. There'll be counselors there where we can complete recommendation forms, communicate with different colleges, allow students to engage in the college search process, and provide you as parents with some relieving your anxiety with just understanding the college process. One of the great aspects about SCORE is there are over 1,450 colleges and universities that are part of this platform. The use of this platform will allow us to engage, communicate, and keep your students in the know as it relates to college and careers. This is just for your note and information, any contact information of administrators, school counselors, and as well as ACE and academic core coordinators. If you all have any question, please do not hesitate to email us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with any questions you may have. At this time, parents, we will go ahead and engage the chat as we open it up for any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have. I will be reading the chat as it comes in. We also have some of our colleagues or coworkers that will be answering the chat as well.
I see here in the chat that the counselors are good looking. I agree.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Saperstein.
I agree. I
think
don't know who typed that, but thank you.
we truly appreciate that. Okay, you got it. Mrs. Faircloth, what do you think about the SCORE and the rollout of just this new database that we're introducing to Wellington High School?
I think it's going to be extremely helpful, especially to the students. We are going to actually start off with the assessment piece with our juniors this year. We're going to have them take the assessment. I believe they use U-Science, and they'll be able to just find out what careers best suits them. And then next year, we will be hopefully rolling out SCORE in full. They'll have to have a SCORE account in order for us to upload their transcripts and any information like the school report that they're going to need for college applications. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. That sounds exciting. I cannot wait just to engage with the students and see what SCORE holds for us. We'll go ahead and look into the chat. I think right now we have our first question for the night. What does the AS or A stand for next to some of the classes? Good question.
AS is normally the first level of an ACE class, and the A level is the next level of an ACE class.
Awesome. Thank you for that. If my son is a freshman taking pre-cal, what would be the next class as a sophomore?
I believe your student could go to Calc, AP Calc AB, I believe. The other classes he could take, I believe he could take AP Stats if he would like. Prob and Stats he would like. I would recommend AP Calc. If he is getting at least a B or better in pre-calc, I would recommend AP Calc AB.
Looking at the course selection sheet, my son was recommended by his Spanish teacher to take Spanish 4, but I do not see that listed. Please advise.
More than likely, your Spanish teacher will put that in his course selection. And he can also discuss that with his counselor.
Thank you for that.
Right. And another important note with that is just in case you don't see it on SIS, it doesn't mean that it can't happen. So when they come, the students come and see us individually, we're going to look through all that stuff and make sure everything is properly inputted into SIS.
Awesome. If your child is in choice program, how many electives do they have to take in that track, i.e. dance?
Dance. If she's in the Fine Arts Academy, she has to at least take 2 electives in fine arts.
Per year, yeah.
Per year, yes.
Hello. If your child completed Algebra 1 out of the state and other courses requiring an FSA score, how do you treat those subjects? Students receive A's in all subjects.
they will earn the credit for Algebra 1. However, they do have to get a concordance score for our math testing requirement. So if there is not a version of an Algebra 1 EOC where you're from, they will have to take either, they can take the SAT or the ACT to get a concordance score for meeting that math testing requirement.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think we have another one here. In the curriculum guide, fashion design services is a course option, but it is not on the course selection sheet. Is this class an option?
No, it's not. We are no longer going to offer fashion next year.
Right. And we have time for one more question, and then we're going to be wrapping it up. And then we can always answer your questions as needed. Just shoot us an email.
Any other questions?
We have about 5 more minutes for questions.
We have 5 more minutes.
That's what we're being told.
Oh, I was told by our producers that we have time for one more question. That's weird.
Well, here, I think here's another question. Is the digital tech certificate considered as some form of certification?
We no longer offer DIT, but DIT did offer the Microsoft certification if they passed all 3 sections.
Wow, thank you so much for answering those questions, Mrs. Faircloth. It's just so great to see our parents and how engaged they are in the chat. I think this is definitely a great start to the next academic year. How has the year been for you thus far?
It's been great. It's been challenging. With all of the complaints about how COVID has had an effect on our students, I think I am seeing just the opposite. I'm seeing that our students have been extremely resilient and excited to be back on campus. So I have really seen just how much our students have been wanting to engage, how much they really do appreciate just being on campus with the other students, with the teachers, with just engaging with the counselors. So I am looking at a completely different atmosphere and environment.
Well said, Danielle. Well said. I don't know if I can hear anybody anymore.
All right, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We'll go ahead and go back to the first question. I think, can a child be approved for the online course during the summer?
Yes, they can. That is the ideal time for a student to take an online course is during the summer.
If your child's elective are already set, such as percussion ensemble, band, and Spanish 4, do they still need to make alternative choices on the form?
It would be nice to see it on the form, but in those areas, the teacher should have already put them on the course request screen. So we should see those courses.
Here's another one. Is there more levels of psychology other than ACE level?
No, there is not. We only have ACE AS and ACE A level.
I
The
think
only
we have
other level would be and dual enroll, I guess.
That's a good point. If they want to take a psychology class at Palm Beach State or FAU, they can do that. They would take a PSY 2012, I believe.
I think we have another comment in the chat. One parent shared, can't wrap my head around the fact that I will have a senior and freshman next year. I mean, how exciting. I think nerve-wracking, and you might be in a really great place as well, one coming in and one leaving. This is some
Yeah.
exciting time. Any advice, counselors, you have for this parent?
I would say good luck.
Awesome.
And they're in
Anything you
good
wanna
hands.
add? I'd say, let me add on to that before we close up with that parent. Senior year will be an interesting year, full of ups and downs. And I think your student will require your support more than ever as they go through the application process and as they finish up strong here at Wellington High School. So we will have various workshops for your student and for yourself. We ask that you're engaged throughout the entire process, and feel free to reach out to us as your counselor for any support throughout this entire process. We'll go back to the chat. It looks like I have another question. Will the students see the course selected by the teacher when they sign in?
Yes, they will. They will not be able to change the courses that the teacher puts in, but they will be able to see. And if for some reason they are in disagreement with it, that's a conversation that they should have directly with the teacher.
All right. Thank you for that. This is our last question for the night. What is the requirement for the PE in the ACE program?
If you're talking about the PE as a graduation requirement, it is waived. When you get your ACE diploma, or if you take all 7 courses and sit for all 7 exams, PE is waived, an online course requirement is waived, and the fine arts requirement is waived.
Right before we close, we have one last question. I have a parent said, when should you reach out to the counselor if you would like to take FLVS driver's ed over the summer? A student is more than welcome to reach out to the counselor as soon as now. They can also engage in the Google Classroom where the information is already up there for FLVS. They can begin the process, and then we as counselors will begin to sign off on the paperwork in order to approve the FLVS.
Yeah, I mean, I would use in the standard rule of thumb, I would be enrolled in that class before you walk out of school before the summer.
Awesome. Well, parents, I thank you so much for your attention, Wolverine parents. We're so excited that you can join us tonight. We have come to the end of our presentation. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We thank you for your engagement, and we hope